Blood drops onto a beautiful flower, creating a frightening scene. Some people plead for help. A lady with an injured shoulder falls to the floor and hides. Footsteps approach from behind her. Tears stream down her face. A man with a half-monster head featuring sharp teeth comes into view. The lady puts her hand over her mouth to stifle her sobs. The man, searching for people to eat, suddenly notices a lady with another man. The man warns the lady to run as a zombie approaches. Out of nowhere, another zombie, a man with a big hand, punches the approaching zombie. The man behind the second zombie looks scared and sweaty as yet another zombie arrives and attacks him. The entire zombie horde is feasting on their victims, while a lady in a red shirt, visibly pregnant, struggles to run. Her shoulder, bitten by a zombie, causes her intense pain. The impending birth of her baby intensifies her agony, and she realizes she can no longer postpone the inevitable. She tears a piece of cloth from her injured shoulder, biting down hard to stifle her screams of pain. Clenching the fabric tightly, she prays fervently for the safety of her unborn baby. In the midst of the ongoing zombie onslaught, with civilians falling victim to the relentless attacks, she clings to hope and seeks divine intervention. Due to the zombie bite, the lady undergoes a transformation. Her hands and nails contort, changing shape as the zombification process takes hold. Her eyes gleam with an ominous red hue, and she bites down on the cloth with all her strength, both to muffle her pain and to resist succumbing completely to the zombie state. 7 years later, the entire town is overrun by zombies. In a house, a young girl cowers behind a cupboard, trembling in fear. She hears a noise, indicating someone or something is approaching. A mysterious figure with sharp teeth emerges, and the girl, sweating profusely, covers her mouth to stifle any sound. The zombie lady locates her, giving the child a terrifying gaze. The child runs as fast as she can, but the zombie catches her. The zombie lady opens her mouth, and the child trembles in fear, pleading with the zombie to stop. Surprisingly, the zombie lady is the child's actual mother. The child tells her mother to stop and let her go. It turns out they are playing hide and seek, and this is the same lady who was bitten by a zombie and gave birth. The child tells her mother that it's her turn to hide. The daughter's name is Chukbok. Chukbok pleads with her mother to let her go, saying she can't breathe. However, her mother refuses, emphasizing how precious her daughter is to her and expressing the sentiment of being a mother. But to be honest with you guys, this manhwa is going to be too emotional, so stick with us. Chukbok tells her mom that she wants to go with her, but her mother keeps refusing. She screams, grabs her clothes, and insists on accompanying her mother. Tears start rolling down her cheeks. However, her mother explains that there are too many monsters outside and she cannot let Chukbok go. Despite the initial resistance, Chukbok eventually calms down, understanding the gravity of the situation from the stern look her mother gives her. She apologized to her daughter, but assured her that she would bring back Gomdal. Chukbok asked her mom if she could return quickly, and her mom smiled. Outside the house, zombies crowded the area, and a long-necked creature emerged, attempting to attack Chukbok's mom. However, she skillfully dodged the creature and swiftly threw her needle into its back, rendering it paralyzed. She managed to eat the monsters, noting that the taste was weird, but at least she felt full. The lady observed 2 people shouting at the zombies, instructing them to stop. A young girl and a boy were seen. The young girl informed the boy that the zombies couldn't move if they pointed the light at them, so they shouldn't waste bullets. The boy expressed concern about the large number of zombies, but the young girl insisted they needed to hold out until morning. Chukbok's mother observed them and wondered why they were out so late, especially with such weak light. She also considered that the sounds of gunshots would only attract more monsters, making the situation more dangerous. She thought it was time to intervene. Lady Monster charged at them, and when the 2 people saw the monster approaching, fear gripped them. The boy instructed the girl to use the flashlight. Despite the girl turning on the flashlight, the lady monster couldn't be stopped. She kicked the boy and focused on the young girl. The girl bravely pointed her gun at the lady monster. telling her to go away. However, the lady monster, with glowing eyes, continued advancing toward the girl, and the exact outcome of their encounter remains unknown. Some time passes, and we see a guy who is worried about not having any supplies. Realizing he's in a tight spot, he clutches a stone in his hand, understanding that it won't be enough to survive. His best option is to find a place to hide. But before he could hide, the lady monster finds him and points her stinger at him. The man is terrified as the stinger is very close to his neck. They both stare at each other, and the lady monster moves forward to attack him. However, to their surprise, she hugs him and says, "Thank goodness it's you, honey." She mentions that she has found Gomdal. Gomdal tells his wife that he found his backpack and reassures her that it wasn't stolen. He asks her not to cry, and the wife suggests they go home. The scene shifts to the street where the same young girl is screaming at zombies to leave her alone. The zombies are approaching her, and she pleads that she doesn't want to die and begs them not to kill her. However, one zombie tells her to turn on the flashlight. The lady is sweating profusely, shouting at the zombies to go away. Suddenly, the movement of the zombies stops. The girl wonders why they all stopped. Did they understand her words, or does she have some kind of power? However, when the girl looks behind her, she sees a monstrous figure, and the monster proceeds to eat her. The scene shifts to another area where Gomdal is searching for useful items. Everything seems useless, but to his surprise, he finds a torch. He feels fortunate to have found the flashlight and wonders if he should go back. Going any deeper might lead him to encounter monsters. Contemplating whether to go deeper or not, he takes a look inside and laughs, realizing he didn't find anything. Despite that, he decides to go in, challenging his luck. Venturing deeper into the darkness with a torch in hand and a gun at the ready, he reminds himself to be cautious. He carefully searches for anything useful in the surroundings. As he ventures even deeper, he hears a sound, and upon investigation, he discovers a monster's body, visibly wounded and lying on the floor. Realizing that there might be another monster in the vicinity, he contemplates the dangers and decides it's best to retreat and head back. Undeterred by the darkness, he carefully explores the room where the wounded monster lies. The dim light from his torch reveals eerie surroundings, and he wonders what might be hidden in the shadows. The realization hits him like a thunderbolt. The monster in front of him is none other than his own wife, Chuckbok's mother. She is nurturing their child amidst the darkness, and Gomdal is both shocked and relieved to discover the truth. The room, once shrouded in fear, now holds a bittersweet revelation about the lengths a mother will go to protect and care for her offspring in this post-apocalyptic world. And they both defeat the monster and runs away, and now the lady is the beautiful wife of the man. The couple, now reunited, manages to defeat the monster and escape. The man suggests finding a hiding spot, and they run together. As they navigate through the desolate streets, the man uses a flashlight to divert the attention of zombies, allowing them to slip away. However, the growing number of zombies poses a threat, and their flashlight begins to flicker, leaving them vulnerable in the darkness. The man unholsters his gun and asks his wife if she can handle the situation. However, his wife expresses doubts, acknowledging that it won't be an easy task. The man tells his wife that they can't defeat all the zombies, but if they get rid of a few, they can escape. He starts shooting at the zombies, but suddenly a long tongue grabs his legs and pulls him away. His wife tries to catch his hand, and he holds onto her hand. With her other hand, she grabs a rod, attempting to pull her husband back. However, the man informs his wife that his legs are about to be ripped off. The man screams, questioning the origin of these tentacles, realizing they are in a dire situation. They both notice a zombie, a monstrous figure with tentacle-like appendages for hands, approaching them. We see Chuckbok drawing, expressing her desire to see Gomdal, her father, and play with him. Meanwhile, we shift to Gomdal being pulled by the monster, while his wife holds onto the rod tightly. The monster is eagerly waiting to consume them, and the lady is concerned about the overwhelming number of monsters. She wonders what they can do in this dire situation. As they struggle to hold on, unable to endure any longer, they decide to face their fate together. Tightening their grip on each other's hands, they prepare for the inevitable. The lady, unable to hold on to the rod any longer, lets it go, and they are both pulled closer to the monster. In a courageous move, the lady uses her stinger to attack a nearby bear zombie. She pulls it off and throws it into the monster's mouth. With quick thinking, she targets the monster's tongue with her stinger, forcing it to release the man's leg from its grasp. The lady realizes that their best chance is to get to the ground where they can have better control. As they fall, she manages to grapple her husband, but the relentless monster is still attempting to reach them. Swiftly dodging its attacks, they land on the ground together. The husband, carrying his wife, starts running, determined to escape the relentless pursuit of the monsters. The monster, frustrated and hungry, lets out a deafening scream as the couple escapes its clutches. The husband, understanding the gravity of the situation, accepts his wife's strength and determination. They continue running together, fueled by the shared goal of reaching safety for the sake of their daughter. The husband reassures his wife, telling her that he, Gamdal, is strong and capable of handling difficult situations. He encourages her not to worry, emphasizing their shared strength as a couple. Her wife curing at her, thinking, "I am the reason my husband gets injured," but suddenly the lady got stabbed by the monster. Her husband screamed in horror, realizing that the monster who had stabbed his wife was none other than the creature that sought to devour them. Gamdal, filled with concern, asked his wife if she was okay. With a reassuring smile, she replied that it was just a little scratch. Feeling the pain intensify, the wife informed her husband that it was starting to get on her nerves. Her husband urged her to hold on, assuring her that he had something that could help. He yelled, "Give me a little time." Meanwhile, the monster continued to chase his wife, but she swiftly dispatched them all. Meanwhile, her husband rummaged through her bag until he found it. He threw the grenade towards the zombies, and a huge blast ensued, killing all the zombies. Gamdal exclaimed, "What a shot! I'm so glad that it actually works." As they launched a barrage of grenades at the zombies, causing a massive explosion, one zombie remained standing, albeit without a hand. The big monster stomped on the lone zombie, rendering it helpless. With a hunger for flesh, the monster turned its attention towards the wife. Her husband, feeling the urgency of the situation, exclaimed, "What do we do now? There's only one left." He turned to his wife and asked if she had a plan. His wife leaped into action, dodging the monster's barrage of attacks with ease. As she skillfully evaded each strike, she clutched a bomb in her hands. Her husband, watching in concern, exclaimed, "What are you doing? You're too far away to make a hit." She hurled the bomb with precision, her husband watching in shock as it sailed through the air. Then, in a move reminiscent of Ronaldo taking a corner kick, she swiftly kicked a grenade into the monster's gaping mouth. The grenade detonated, causing a powerful blast that obliterated the monster. With a triumphant grin, she defiantly showed the monster a middle finger, reveling in her victory. Her husband cheered her on, expressing his admiration. "Nice, that's my wife. I love you so much." They quickly made their way towards their house, and her husband encouraged her to show him the wound. To their surprise, the wound had already begun to heal. Her wife jokingly grabbed her husband's hair, teasing him. "You're the one to be careful. My goodness, your cool hairstyle has just gotten a little messy." Her husband chuckled and suggested, "Let's go in. Our daughter must be waiting for us." They entered the house, and her father exclaimed, "We're home." Their daughter greeted them excitedly, showing off her completed homework. She exclaimed, "Look at this, I finished my homework, Gamdal is back." Father and daughter shared a tight hug, and her father asked affectionately, "Awa, sweetheart, did you have a good day?" She rubbed her cheeks against his and replied happily, "Yes, I was guarding our home. I did my homework." Her father lifted her up, impressed, and remarked, "Wow, you've finished it, well done." Their daughter then requested a gift, and her mother smiled from behind. Her father rummaged through his bag and pulled out a chocolate, delighting their daughter. They shared a warm hug, and the father teased, "You only call me daddy when I have something for you, don't you?" The daughter affectionately replied that he was the best daddy in the whole world. Her mother watched with a smile and remarked, I like Gom doll better. All right, do whatever you want, little rascal. No matter how difficult. I feel energized whenever I see that smile. Whatever happens, I will protect my dear family forever. She hugged her husband from behind, beaming with happiness. Meanwhile, outside their house, a new lady appeared, and inside, their daughter proudly showed off her accomplishments. She exclaimed, Mom, look at this. I did a great job, right? Her father asked if Mom also praised her for her excellent work. Then, feeling hungry, they all decided to eat something together, while the suspicious lady watched from outside. Chuck Bak was happily enjoying her meal, while her parents watched her with smiles. Her dad asked, Do you like the food? Chuck Bak nodded and replied, Yes, prompting her dad to ask, Really? Should I bring you another one next time? She affirmed eagerly. Then Chuck Bak took a spoonful of food and offered it to her father, saying, Have a bite, Gom doll. This is really good. Her dad chuckled and responded, Oh, are you giving your daddy a bite? He took the bite and expressed his enjoyment, saying, It tastes much better coming from you. Chuck Bak then offered a spoonful of food to her mom, who seemed hesitant to accept it, perhaps due to being a zombie. But Chuck Bak insisted, saying, I'll give you a bite, Mommy. Taste it. Her father chimed in, mentioning that Mommy had said she's full now. However, Chuck Bak insisted that her mom hadn't eaten anything, to which her dad replied that he had seen her eating something. With a cute look, Chuck Bak gazed at her mother and asked, But how do you eat food, Mommy? I've never seen Mommy eating food. Her mom smiled warmly, took her daughter's hand, and assured her, I'm full, sweetheart, so no need to worry. Then she encouraged Chuck Bak to enjoy her meal. Chuck Bak, curious about what her mom eats, finds a cookie and excitedly calls out, Mommy, this is a really delicious cookie. I brought my favorite snack for you. She approaches her mother, offering her the cookie and urging her to have a bite, insisting it's really yummy. However, her mom responds with an awkward smile, thanking her but reminding her gently, Thank you, but I told you Mommy can't eat those things. I'll accept your kind thoughts. Her daughter, with a cute smile on her face, leans in close to her mom, who is now emotional. Her mom, touched by her daughter's expression, mentions softly, I can't say no to that face. Ah well, I'll just take a bite. She tries to take the cookie, but her daughter quickly pulls it away, looking at the cookie angrily before breaking off a small piece and relaxing. She then gives her mom a piece of the cookie, urging her to enjoy it. Her mom smiles softly, but her daughter insists, forcing her to eat the cookie. Her mom gently refuses, saying, I'm okay. You can have it all. Her daughter, not wanting to disappoint her, happily takes 2 pieces. Chuck Bak is confused as she realizes something's wrong. No, this is not what I wanted. I wanted Mommy to eat it. Her dad comes and asks her daughter to give him a bite, but Chuck Bak is lost in her thoughts and eats the whole cookie, mentioning, Then I should try again with another one, which makes her dad nervous. She continues to try to feed her mom one by one with different products, but her mom can't control her anger anymore. She rages at her daughter, Stop bothering me, can't you? See, I'm cleaning the house. I told you I don't want to eat it, but why do you keep doing this? To me? Cut it out. Or are you enjoying bothering me? Chuck Bak, now scared and crying, mentions, I was worried about you. I have. Never seen you eating food, so I thought you must be hungry. So, I tried to share some food with you. Her mom grabs her hand and touches her finger, thinking while crying, I made her worry because I didn't tell her the truth, that she eats the monster, not the human food. She touches her daughter's finger again and mentions that truth is. Suddenly, her mom's eyes and face turn red as if she's observing something, and we see a nosebleed coming from Chuck Bak's nose. Chuck Bak asks her mother, What's wrong, mother? Her mom suddenly transforms into a monster, her teeth resembling those of a shark. However, her husband comes to the door of the room, having heard a noise. He mentions, I just heard the door slam. and opens the door. He asks his daughter where her mother is, to which she replies that her mom went out. Her father then asks about her nosebleed, which even her daughter doesn't know about. We shift to a street where a lady in a green suit is standing, and she turns around to reveal a monster fixed to her chest with sharp teeth. Suddenly, Chuckbox's mom appears out of nowhere and punches the monster in the chest, causing it to cough up blood. She delivers another powerful punch and declares, "I'm her mother. I have to protect my daughter. Wake up. I don't eat my family." Despite being a zombie herself, Chuckbox's mom struggles with conflicting thoughts. She admits, "It's so hard to resist that sweet smell. I love the smell of fresh and young meat. I want to eat her." However, she manages to stop herself from succumbing to these thoughts and falls to her knees, letting out a gut-wrenching scream. As time passes, the entire family is sleeping soundly in bed. Chuckbox's mom reflects on her recent struggle, realizing, "I never realized how sweet a child's blood could be. It was close. Let's always be aware. I should be extra careful in front of monsters." She then whispers a tender goodnight to Chuckbox, promising, "I'll protect you forever." Chuckbox, with one eye open, overhears her mom's words and decides she'll give something to her mommy tomorrow. The next day arrives, and Gomdal prepares to leave, assuring everyone he'll be back soon. He reminds his daughter not to wake mommy up during the day because she needs her sleep. Chuckbox agrees and bids her father goodbye, requesting a chocolate bar. With a smile, she sees him off and then smirks, thinking, "Good, I can go outside while mommy's sleeping." Dressed as a construction worker and armed with tools, Chuckbox ventures outside. She encounters a zombie statue, which she breaks and investigates. Suddenly, a masked man and a woman with long hair emerge, prompting Chuckbox to hide. After they pass, she continues her search, spraying something on the wall before moving on. As she scavenges, she comes across various items like a book, a bone, and a broken object, none of which she needs. However, her luck changes when she discovers 3 candies, exclaiming, "Chuckbox can also bring the bacon home. Yay, I found 3 candies. Finally, something useful." As Chuckbox thinks about her parents, she imagines her father expressing gratitude for finding the candies, saying, "Did you find these candies, Chuckbox? Thank you, sweetheart." She smiles at the thought, realizing that's exactly the response she wants from them. Determined, she decides not to tell them she found the candies outside. She plans to give one to her mother, another to Gomdal, and keep the last one for herself. Remembering Hira, she decides to give one candy to her and quickly runs off to find her. Unaware of the masked man and the lady behind her, Chuckbox continues on her way. The lady remarks on their luck, encountering a child unexpectedly. The masked man speculates that she's likely with her parents. With a knife in hand, he suggests they could demand a significant ransom for her. The lady raises the possibility of the child being abandoned or orphaned, to which the masked man responds that they would then take whatever she has. Chuckbox continues to run, unaware of the suspicious individuals following her. They discuss potential ways to profit from the child, considering her rarity in the current times. The lady suggests selling her to a cannibal tribe, envisioning a lucrative transaction. The masked man expresses shock at the idea of dealing with a tribe obsessed with consuming human flesh, but the girl confirms her belief that they would indeed be interested in purchasing the child. As Chuckbox takes a turn, the lady swiftly retrieves her bat while the masked man brandishes his knife. Determined to capture Chuckbox before anyone else does, the lady takes the lead. The man warns her about the risk of being caught, but she dismisses his concerns, confident in her abilities. She instructs him to bring Chuckbox to her without harming her. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to them, a white-haired lady with a sharp woodcutter emerges behind the masked man. Before he can utter another word, a slashing sound fills the air, and the lady turns to witness the white-haired lady swiftly dispatching the masked man. The lady with the baseball bat confronts the white-haired stranger, questioning her identity and motives. As they lock eyes, the tension between them escalates, with the baseball bat lady accusing the white-haired woman of being hostile. However, the white-haired woman remains silent, her gaze intense and focused. Suddenly, the baseball bat lady rushes forward to attack, but the white-haired woman effortlessly dodges her assault. The baseball bat lady, feeling triumphant, mocks her opponent. However, her victory is short-lived as the white-haired woman swiftly retaliates, swiftly slicing her neck. The baseball bat lady falls to the ground lifeless, while the white-haired woman gazes stoically at her fallen foe. Chuckbok cowers behind the wall, desperately covering her mouth to stifle any sound that might betray her presence. Fear grips her as she watches the scene unfold before her. Suddenly, the white-haired lady appears and locks eyes with Chuckbok, sending a shiver down her spine. Trapped and terrified, Chuckbok remains frozen, unsure of what to do next. The lady who found Chuckbok is none other than He-Ra, and Chuckbok is shocked to see her. He-Ra asks Chuckbok where she is just as a monster's hand appears and starts to crawl towards them. Suddenly, the monster's face emerges from the hand and lunges at them, but He-Ra swiftly kills it, leaving its head on the ground. The monster's body wiggles and then disappears from the hand. Though scared, Chuckbok listens as He-Ra advises her to always check before entering a dark place. He-Ra then asks Chuckbok why she's outside and where her mommy is. Chuckbok is nervous about how to respond, but He-Ra grabs her hand and they walk together. Chuckbok starts to cry, but He-Ra reassures her with a set of rules. He-Ra's rule, number 1. I must check if there's a monster before I go inside a dark place. And, number 2. I must carry a flashlight or a weapon. Next, number 3. I must not go to a place where I hear a noise. Good. Number 4. I must not follow strangers other than Mommy, Daddy, and He-Ra. And the last but most important rule is, Chuckbok responds, number 5. I must not go outside alone. Good! Then He-Ra said, but you didn't follow the rules, huh? Do what I say mean nothing to you? Where's your answer? This made Chuckbok angry, and He-Ra continued, I've been telling you this for almost a year. You must follow these rules until you become an adult. On top of that, you can be in big trouble if you get followed by bad people. Don't you ever do this again. Chuckbok squeezed He-Ra's hand and mentioned, I know. This area. Well, so nothing will happen. And I'm all grown up now, so it's okay to come outside. She shouted, I am grown enough to go outside, so you can stop, He-Ra. But He-Ra gave her a death stare, which shocked Chuckbok. She thought, she's angry, really angry, I'm scared. He-Ra then mentioned, you're all grown up now, so do whatever you want. This made Chuckbok shocked. He-Ra also mentioned, I'll even take you to a place where adults go. Chuckbok blushed and said, the place where adults go? Ha, and Chuckbok is going there too, He-Ra replied. I'll take you there if you want to go. Chuckbok happily affirmed. Chuckbok arrived at the place and she was happy, but she soon said, it's too dark here, I want to go home. This place is terrible. He-Ra, where are you? I'm not sure. Why are you not sure? Replied He-Ra. Stop playing with me, I'm scared. Chuckbok said. He-Ra replied, what? You said you wanted to come. Chuckbok said, it's because you told me about. He-Ra then said, you're all grown up now, so you're not scared, right? Monsters love dark places like this. But adults come here because they can find valuable things. That's why this place is always filled with bloody fights. Chuckbok moved and slipped on the floor, her hands now covered in blood. As He-Ra mentioned, an adult gets out of here alive. Which made Chuckbok scared. She ran, shouting, He-Ra, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Chuckbok doesn't want to be an adult anymore. Let me go home. Chuckbok was now scared, tears streaming down her face. What should I do? I can't see anything because it's too dark. What should I do? Did He-Ra really leave me alone here? That's too mean. Is this really a place adults go to get food? In a place full of monsters like this? She trembled and cried. He-Ra approached Chuckbok and said, it's scary, right? It's dark and stinky, and you want to go home. She paused, then continued, "This is where adults go. To be honest, adults are also scared to come here. But they have no choice if they want to survive." She sobbed, "Remember what you saw today and make sure that this doesn't happen again." Chukbok continued to cry, overwhelmed by fear and uncertainty. Hira extended her hand to Chukbok and said, "Let's go home." Chukbok hesitated and replied, "But, Hira, why? There are monsters here. But why aren't we harmed?" Hira reassured her, "Don't worry, they're just sleeping." As they moved, a group of monsters emerged from the ground while others remained asleep nearby. The next day came, and as they arrived home, Hira reassured Chukbok, "Don't worry, it's just monsters sleeping. I'll see you next time you come outside with your mom and dad." Chukbok thanked Hira, but then asked, "Hira, am I still not allowed to talk about you to my parents?" Hira replied, "I told you, it's a secret between us." Chukbok then invited Hira to sit for a moment, and as she sat down, Chukbok said, "I have something for you." She patted her hair and continued, "This is for making Chukbok cry. Don't do this again." She then gave her a candy, saying, "I found it myself. It's for you." Hira watches Chukbok leave and smiles, reflecting on the candy and the gesture from the child. She muses to herself, "She gave me a smack and a candy? That kid, she's stronger than I thought. She'll grow into a strong woman." Meanwhile, Chukbok tries to open the door to her home, but she notices something alarming. Her finger is turning purple. Shocked and confused, she wonders aloud, "What is this?" As time passes, Gomdal and his wife continue their search, scouring the area for any discoveries. His wife queries, "Did you find something here?" Gomdal shakes his head, replying, "No, there's nothing here." Suddenly, Gomdal spots something among the debris. He picks it up and examines it, realizing it's a red scarf. Turning to his wife, he smiles and drapes it around her shoulders, saying, "Oh, this looks great on you. I just found it, but it fits you perfectly." His wife blushes at the unexpected gesture, and they share a tender moment together amidst their search. Gomdal and his wife exchange puzzled looks as there's no response from Chukbok. Concerned, they start calling out for her, "Chukbok, Chukbok, where are you?" They scan the area, searching for any sign of their daughter, hoping she's nearby. Chukbok, in her yellow jacket, continues to search for useful items, but her efforts prove fruitless. Instead, she comes across Hira lying on the ground. Concerned, Chukbok asks if Hira is hurt, but Hira responds coldly, telling her to go away. Chukbok is puzzled by Hira's reaction, as Hira seems to have no recollection of who she is. Chukbok, concerned about Hira's appearance, offers her help, suggesting that she looks sick and that Chukbok can assist her. Hira, annoyed by Chukbok's persistence, tells her to go away, calling her a little girl and telling her to get lost. Confused by Hira's response, Chukbok asks what "get lost" means, indicating that she doesn't understand the phrase. Hira insists that Chukbok should return to her parents and stop bothering her. However, Chukbok persists, grabbing Hira's hands and pressing them, suggesting that it will make her warm. Hira, growing increasingly frustrated, tells Chukbok to leave her alone. The scene shifts to a horde of zombies approaching, emitting a strange mixture of greetings and growls. They seem to utter phrases like, "Hello," "Thank you," "Wish you luck," and "See you again," creating an eerie atmosphere with their unsettling behavior. Gomdal lets out a sigh of frustration, remarking on the unusual presence of the monsters in the streets during daylight. His wife concurs, stating that they have exhausted all options and this pharmacy is the last hope in the area. Gomdal suggests taking a break inside the pharmacy while they wait for the monsters to disperse outside. Her wife's response is filled with anxiety and guilt as she grapples with the situation. She refuses the idea of taking a break, unable to rest knowing the uncertainty surrounding Chukbok's condition. Trembling with worry, she questions what they can do and whether they can find a cure. Examining her own finger, she discovers it shares the same purple hue as Chuk-bok's, realizing that she might be responsible for her daughter's condition. Husband gently reassures her, urging her not to blame herself too harshly and expressing confidence that they will find a solution. However, her determination to help Chuk-bok quickly resurfaces and she refuses to rest, fearing that any delay will only increase her daughter's suffering. Despite his growing nervousness, her husband suggests putting a halt to their search for now. After taking a deep breath, Gom-dal expresses his frustration, acknowledging the futility of their search for medical supplies in other locations. He suggests going to Hope Village, where there might be a doctor who can help. However, he notes that they'll need to pay an entrance fee to enter the village. His wife, touching her finger and showing concern, asks if there's really a doctor in the village, to which he confirms, emphasizing that it's their last hope. Gom-dal, holding his head due to a headache, expresses his concern about the entrance fee for Hope Village, mentioning that they only accept something useful and worthy. He ponders where they can find such things, indicating the challenge they face in meeting the village's requirements for entry. Gom-dal is taken aback by the suggestion of Dungeon Village as a potential source for the entrance fee. He expresses his concerns about the dangers of such a place, emphasizing that it's a literal monster's nest. However, his wife remains determined, confident in her ability to handle the situation. She explains that the village was attacked by monsters, so the supplies there should still be intact. Assuring him that she can handle herself and that she's familiar with the route, she emphasizes the importance of avoiding confrontation with the dungeon's master. Despite his reservations, Gom-dal acknowledges her determination and reluctantly agrees to her plan. Gom-dal takes a moment to consider the situation before agreeing to his wife's plan. Recognizing that he may not be able to handle the risks involved, he decides to stay home with Chuk-bok. He expresses his concern for his wife's safety and prepares to equip her with necessary items for the journey. As they open the backpack to gather supplies, they are both stunned to discover their daughter sleeping inside the bag. They rub their eyes in disbelief, trying to confirm if what they're seeing is real. Chuk-bok wakes up coughing, finding her parents, one angry and the other concerned. Despite her cheerful greeting, her father admonishes her, reminding her of the dangers outside. He expresses his worry and fear for her safety, causing Chuk-bok to start crying. Her mother, torn between frustration and concern, tries to comfort her daughter, realizing that the situation is not entirely the child's fault. Her dad's frustration boils over as he questions Chuk-bok's trust in them, suggesting that if she doesn't, she might as well live alone. He vents his upset, mirroring his daughter's distress. Chuk-bok's mom intervenes, acknowledging the tension but urging her husband to return home with their daughter for the moment, emphasizing caution. Chuk-bok's mom begins to leave, but Chuk-bok, clinging to her clothes, pleads to go with her. Her mom shoots her a stern look, but her dad intervenes, firmly telling Chuk-bok to stop, recognizing the danger of where her mom is going and blaming himself for it. Chuk-bok's tears stream down her face as she pleads with her mom not to go and to return home together. However, her mom remains silent and leaves, prompting Chuk-bok's father to hold her tightly. He reassures her, acknowledging her concern and emphasizing his trust in her mom's strength and ability to return safely. Despite his reassurances, Chuk-bok continues to blame herself for her mom's departure. Chuk-bok's father, feeling unwell, asks her to wait for him for a moment while he tends to his stomach. He assures her that he will return soon, but Chuk-bok is filled with worry and uncertainty about the situation. As her father leaves, she clenches her fists, preparing herself for whatever may come and determined to take action if needed. Chuk-bok's mother is filled with regret and concern for her daughter as she navigates through the dangerous situation. She realizes she should have reassured Chuk-bok before leaving, but also feels she must teach her daughter the importance of her actions. Suddenly, she notices a box surrounded by the zombie crowd, which they mistakenly believe contains food. As the zombies attack the box, Chuk-bok's mother is horrified, but quickly intervenes to protect her daughter, pulling her out of harm's way as she cries in relief and fear. As the mother and daughter flee from the zombie crowd, the mother is exasperated by the relentless pursuit of the zombie. She wonders why the zombie keeps following her and where her husband is in this chaos. With concern and frustration mounting, she continues to navigate the dangerous situation, determined to keep her daughter safe. As the mother fights off the zombies, she begins to feel the strain of the ongoing battle. Despite her skill in combat, she knows that she can't keep this up indefinitely. With a sense of determination mixed with reluctance, she contemplates using a special ability or power, recognizing that it may be necessary in this dire situation. Meanwhile, Chukbok notices a significant change in the weather as the clouds start to disperse. She alerts her mother to the shifting sky, realizing that it could affect the zombies' strength. With renewed hope, they continue their escape, though Chukbok expresses concern about entering a building overrun by monsters. Chukbok's mother, wounded but still determined, faces off against the zombie that attacked her. Despite her injuries, she fiercely defends her daughter, ready to fight to the end to protect her. However, just as the situation seems dire, a mysterious figure appears and takes down the zombie with a well-aimed shot from behind. Surprised by the sudden intervention, Chukbok's mother looks around to see where the axe came from. Though puzzled by its appearance, she realizes that it's an opportunity to escape and get to safety. With the zombie crowd still in pursuit, she knows they need to reach the dungeon quickly to avoid further danger. With renewed determination, she leads Chukbok towards their destination, grateful for the unexpected help. Chukbok's father, having arrived just in time to save them, is met with a crowd of zombies. Frustrated with himself for leaving Chukbok alone, he curses his own mistake and the situation it has led to. However, he knows he must focus on the present danger and protect his family. As the man trembles with self-doubt, a hand reaches out to take the axe from him. "Chukbok," he stammered, turning back to see He-Ra behind him. Confusion etched across his face as he asked, "Who are you?" But before he could finish, He-Ra delivered a swift smack. In the next scene, Chukbok's mother held her hand tightly, her eyes filled with a mixture of worry and frustration. "Why did you follow me? When will you learn?" she exclaimed. "I told you it'd be dangerous. I asked you to stay with your daddy. You're not even feeling well. You know how much I worry about you. If you do this again, you'll be in big trouble." Chukbok, touching her mother's hand, spoke softly, "I was scared, and I don't want to see you get hurt. I'm scared." Her mother, taken aback by her daughter's admission, softened her expression, realizing the depth of Chukbok's concern. Chukbok's heartfelt words brought tears to her mother's eyes as she hugged her tightly. "You little fool, what a high-maintenance child you are," she said with a mixture of amusement and affection, stroking Chukbok's hair gently. With Chukbok safely tucked under her shirt, her mother braced herself to face the oncoming horde of zombies. Despite the perilous situation, she was determined to protect her daughter at all costs. "Hang tight, Chukbok," she reassured her as they made their way through the crowd, navigating carefully towards the exit. With caution, she proceeded, keen on avoiding any unwanted encounters with the zombies. Taking another step, she reminded herself to walk as carefully as possible, mindful of her surroundings. Suddenly, a monster with long hair and sharp teeth appeared behind her, sniffing the air. The woman understood that she needed to remain still. "I must not provoke it," she thought. "If I make a move here, Chukbok will be in great danger." The monster's hair covered the woman, but she knew that to survive, she must not react. But after a long check, she couldn't hold on any longer. "All right, it's loosening up. I must get out of here as soon as possible. I can't." Before she could finish, the monster interrupted her with a disdainful remark. Startled, she looked behind to see no one there. Where did it go? And when? What was that? How can it disappear in such a short time? What on earth was it? She was left bewildered by the sudden disappearance of the creature. "No, I should calm down. It's already gone, so I must focus on getting out of here." Suddenly, a big hand emerged from nowhere, shocking the lady. The hand began grabbing every zombie in sight, leaving her wondering, what just happened? That huge arm, It's the master of the dungeon. Damn, it's difficult to move because of these monsters. I must get out of here quickly. The hand of the master began killing every zombie one by one. Despite being caught by zombie hands, Chuck Bach had fallen to the ground crying. Her mother shouted at her to run away, and she instantly started running. The monster squeezed the lady, and despite her attempts to escape, she couldn't break free. Focus. I'll focus all my power. To my hands. The red nails emerged from her hand, and she slashed at the monster's grip. The monster recoiled, throwing all the zombies to the ground. She started to run, urgently saying, "Hurry, I have to find Chuck Bach right away. Wait for me, Chuck Bach. Mommy is coming for you. Please be safe." We see the foot of a lady and a baby zombie on the ground, with a lady in a red suit behind them, calling out, "My little baby, where are you?" Her eyes glow as Chuck Bach runs from the zombies. She slips, but before the zombie can attack her, someone grabs the zombie, another zombie, and cracks its face. The floor is covered in blood, and Chuck Bach is crying as a horde of zombies approaches. A long-headed monster is ready to devour Chuck Bach, grabbing her as she cries out for her mother. Suddenly, a voice reaches the zombies' ears, causing them all to flee. Chuck Bach is left confused, wondering what just happened. She covered her nose, wrinkling it in disgust. Gross. This smells really bad. What is this? It smells weird. Suddenly, she was pushed from behind and fell to the floor, her candies scattering around her. To her surprise, a little zombie kid with red eyes and long hands was coming towards her, telling her to play with him. Chuck Bach tried to pick up her candies, but the zombie kid snatched one. Chuck Bach shouted at the kid, "Give back my mommy and daddy's candies. I found them myself." The kid sniffed the candies and ate one. Chuck Bach was stunned to see this and exclaimed, "Those were the gifts for my mom and dad." She dashed toward the zombie kid and punched him on the face, then pinched his cheeks, saying, "Give my candies back, spit them out." The zombie also pinched her cheeks, and they both started the fight. Chuck Bach insisted, "Those candies. For my mom and dad, give me." After a fierce struggle, Chuck Bach emerged victorious as the zombie boy ran away. She retrieved her candies, triumphantly declaring, "You can never mess around with me. These belong to my mom and dad." The whole crowd of zombies now rushed towards Chuck Bach, but suddenly they all ran away. Chuck Bach's wife wrinkled her face and sniffed the air, realizing that the zombies had fled because of a bad smell. Relieved, she thought that now there was nothing to be afraid of. Determined, she exclaimed, "Let's find Mommy. Wait for me, Mommy. Chuck Bach is coming." Suddenly, someone grabbed Chuck Bach from behind and mentioned, "I got it, Key Gin." Startled, Chuck Bach turned to see a woman and a monster. The monster declared that Chuck Bach was human, but she looked delicious. The monster remarked that Chuck Bach probably had close contact with the kid, admiring how soft her cheek was. Chuck Bach felt a sense of panic, wondering what she should do. The monster then decided that they should take Chuck Bach. The woman agreed, expressing her fondness for Chuck Bach's softness. Chuck Bach, feeling the monster's grip on her cheek, pleaded to be allowed to find her mommy. The monster woman responded sarcastically, saying she had no choice but to be Chuck Bach's mommy now. Chuck Bach firmly declined, saying, "No, thank you." The monstrous ladies argued about what to do with Chuck Bach. One insisted they should give her to their father to aid in their plan to devour the master of the dungeon. Another countered, asserting her claim to the girl and suggesting they should eat her themselves. Chuck Bach, terrified by their conversation, realized she needed to find a way to escape from their clutches and reunite with her mother. The scene filled Chuck Bach with dread as she realized the monstrous ladies intended to consume her. Trembling with fear, she desperately longed to be reunited with her mother. Clutching her clothes tightly, she resolved to muster all her courage and do whatever it took to escape from their grasp. Chuck Bach, desperate to escape, addressed the monstrous women as "Mommy" and fled from them. The monster lady remarked on Chuck Bach's agility for her age, finding her fear endearing. As Chuck Bach ran, the monsters pursued her relentlessly. However, another monster followed behind, slashing through the zombies in their path to clear a way for Chuckbok's escape. Chuckbok, feeling the urgency to find her mother quickly, darted away from the monsters, knowing she was in grave danger. The monstrous lady couldn't allow her to escape and hurled her paws at Chuckbok. However, Chuckbok swiftly dodged the attack, causing it to inadvertently strike a nearby monster, killing it instantly. Seizing the opportunity, Chuckbok fled further away from the pursuing monsters. Hiding behind the wall, trembling with fear, Chuckbok called out for Hira, her dad, and her mom, expressing how much she missed them. Suddenly, a monster appeared, telling Chuckbok not to worry, claiming that they were her family. With a chilling tone, the monster declared that their game of hide and seek was over and beckoned Chuckbok to come closer. Tears streaming down her face, Chuckbok cried out, refusing to comply, expressing her desperate desire to go home. Chuckbok's fingers underwent a transformation, and she shot out a stream of energy from her hand, striking the monster and causing it great pain. The monster, shocked and bewildered by the attack, felt a searing sensation in its hand, which began to burn fiercely. Confused and in agony, the monster wondered what the girl had done to him. Meanwhile, Chuckbok's nails started to grow, with red veins coursing through them and sharp, black claws emerging. The zombie girl, lost and worried, contemplates her situation, pondering the whereabouts of Ki-gun and lamenting that he might be indulging in the girl without her. She desires the first bite, reminiscing about the softness of the girl's skin and craving another taste. As she continues to fantasize about consuming the girl, Chuckbok's mother places a hand on her shoulder, prompting her to turn around and inquire about her identity. In the scene, the monster man confronts Chuckbok, furious about what she has done. Chuckbok defends herself, explaining that she didn't mean to harm him intentionally. However, before the monster can attack her, his hand is suddenly cut off, causing him intense pain. He curses and threatens Chuckbok, vowing revenge for his injured arm and warning that he'll devour her alive or suffer the consequences of an upset stomach. The monster, filled with rage, threatens Chuckbok, declaring that he will chew her body until no bones are left, sending her into a terrified panic. As the monster attempts to strike Chuckbok again, someone intervenes, hitting the monster and sending him crashing into the wall. Chuckbok is shocked to see her dad's bag and her father approaching with glowing eyes and full of rage. Her dad, filled with anger, holds Chuckbok tightly, asking if she's all right, his voice trembling with concern. Chuckbok, still in tears, embraces her father and sobs, feeling relieved to be in his arms. He apologizes for the ordeal she endured and notices a peculiar smell along with the changes to her finger. Concerned, he asks her what happened, but Chuckbok, overwhelmed by fear and emotion, simply cries and recounts how her mom was caught by a giant hand. Her dad gently pats her head, reassuring her that it's all right and she doesn't need to explain everything just yet. The monster, enraged and confused, rises to its feet, demanding to know what's happening and who they think they are. Chuckbok's dad instructs her to stand behind him, assuring her they'll find mommy together once things settle down. Chuckbok nods in agreement, her father promising that they'll return home after finding her mom, even suggesting they'll have cookies when they get back. The monster continues to threaten them, asking if they're even listening. The monster, in a fit of rage, is suddenly struck in the face by a brick thrown by Gomdal. Chuckbok and her dad take cover behind her. Her dad then admonishes the monster, telling it to stop swearing in front of his child as it's not suitable for her education. The monster, enraged and determined to attack, pushes towards them, threatening to kill them. Gomdal throws another brick, but the monster swiftly crushes it. To the monster's surprise, a huge number of bricks are then sent towards him, hitting him repeatedly. He wonders where they came from and how someone could send such a large quantity of bricks with one hand. Gomdal grabs more bricks and sends them towards the monster, aiming to hit him with all his strength. He knows he must accurately target the vital points and strike faster and stronger to defeat the monster. However, to his surprise, the monster manages to block all the bricks, leaving him shocked and bewildered. Gomdal sees there are no more bricks left, and the monster grabs him by the neck, holding his daughter trembling in fear. Despite his attempts to escape, the monster's grip tightens. The monster taunts him, mocking the ineffective use of the stones and boasting about his ability to heal. He threatens to savor their bodies when he consumes them. Gomdal resigns himself to his fate, telling the monster to go ahead and kill him. However, suddenly Hira appears, wielding a sharp axe, and cuts off the monster's hand. The monster is shocked and demands to know who she is. Hira, undeterred, warns the monster that he's in trouble and to prepare himself. Hira continues to slash at the monster, each strike inflicting significant damage. Chukbok and her father huddle together, astonished by Hira's prowess. Gomdal marvels at how she's managing to overpower the monster with just an axe. He wonders how she maintains such strength even after engaging in such a brutal battle. As Hira relentlessly attacks the monster, Gomdal can't help but question who this woman really is. As Hira continues slashing at the monster, the creature's mind drifts back to a conversation from the past. The monster ponders what sets monsters apart from humans, reflecting on their respective strengths and weaknesses. The monster recalls a discussion with another monster, where they debated the differences between humans and monsters. The other monster suggests that humans may be more cunning and adaptable, but ultimately weaker than monsters who rely on brute strength and instinct. The conversation leaves the monster contemplating the unique traits of both humans and monsters, wondering where they fit into this dichotomy. The monster, now in a state of heightened determination, reaffirms their belief in the superiority of their cannibal tribe. They see themselves as a unique blend of human intelligence and monster strength, making them the ideal species for survival in their harsh world. Acknowledging their responsibility as a member of the tribe, the monster instructs their offspring to search for the child while they deal with the dungeon monster. They emphasize the importance of tapping into maternal instinct to locate the child easily, confident in their ability to capture their prey. As the one-eyed monster confronts them, Gomdal warns Hira of the danger lurking behind. Hira, quick on her feet, evades the monster's attack and retaliates with a swift slash. However, the monster remains defiant, boasting of being the chosen one and proclaiming that their adversaries will meet their end. Undeterred, the monster charges at Hira, vowing to rend her body asunder. Hira, maintaining her focus amidst the chaos, deftly sidesteps the onslaught, preparing to counter the relentless assault. In the midst of the struggle, the monster facing Chukbok's mother begins to realize something unsettling. Observing the fierce determination in her eyes, it dawns upon the monster that she shares a resemblance with their own kind, particularly with their father. However, the revelation only serves to fuel the monster's determination, recognizing the strength within Chukbok's mother. With a heavy blow landing squarely on her face, the monster is propelled into a state of rage, eager to test the extent of Chukbok's mother's abilities. The confrontation intensifies as Chukbok's mother swiftly counters the monster's assault, swiftly evading each attack with agility and precision. Undeterred, the monster increases the ferocity of her strikes, determined to land a decisive blow. However, Chukbok's mother remains resolute, skillfully dodging each attack with grace and determination. Caught off guard by her opponent's agility and skill, the monster is left stunned by Chukbok's mother's resilience and prowess in battle. Despite the relentless onslaught, she continues to evade the attacks, her focus unwavering as she presses forward in pursuit of her daughter. Chukbok's mother, realizing the severity of her situation, grapples with the realization that conventional methods won't suffice against her formidable opponent. As she confronts the daunting prospect of her injuries worsening, she makes a difficult decision to resort to her last option. With determination and resolve, she faces the monstrous adversary head-on, determined to find her daughter before it's too late. However, her efforts are thwarted as the lady monster employs a cunning tactic, throwing blood into her eyes to impair her vision. Despite the setback, Chukbok's mother remains steadfast in her resolve, recognizing the urgency of her mission. Determined to seek aid from Ki-gun, she resolves to find him and enlist his help in their battle against the formidable foe. Meanwhile, Ki-gun finds himself in a dire situation, locked in a fierce struggle against He-Ra.
If you like this video, please subscribe, leave a like and comment.